Then everything changed when I claimed them as the property of Goon. Hello everyone, T-Dragonal here, and welcome back to another figure review, and we will be reviewing 4 Avatar Last Airbender figures with Aang, Zuko, Katara, and Toph Beifong. I had these figures for a really long time, just got Toph recently, and I'm excited to review all of these. I love Avatar The Last Airbender. It's one of my favorite shows growing up as a kid on Nickelodeon. And these are the only decent looking Avatar figures that look like they give you so much upon multiple accessories. But we'll see how they really are when we open them up. So far, just based off the box art and visual presentation and how the figures are placed in the boxes, these figures look promising. Especially Toph at the end here. Probably one of the best blind girls in an animated series. Now to start off this review, I thought it'd be fair if I go by the intro. That starts with water, earth, fire, ending with air. So that means Katara's gonna be up first. It's time to get wet. Here's the plastic packaging where you see Katara in her alternative smiling head with all of her wonderful accessories and hand gestures that she comes with. Very cool. And here's Katara completely out of the box. Overall looks are pretty okay. This was $17 at the time. Pretty decent sculpt. I will say there's a bit of some paint scuffs in different areas. On top right here and right here, there's like a mark on her cheek. But besides those two main areas, everything else seems painted pretty decently throughout the rest of her body. I think the necklace should be a little lower. And okay, there we go. It was just higher. Yeah, so I guess that necklace just free clipped. Oh wait, there's a clip right here. So I guess you could take out the necklace if you wanted to. Because it just clips on her neck. Good to know. Facial expression is pretty solid. She looks mad, pouty. The one thing that I feel like that's going to be a big hindrance is going to be her hair. There is no joint. There's no peg joint or swivel on her hair. That's just in a fixed position. So I assume turning her head is just going to, like, it's kind of like a soft plastic. So you could just get it over there, which is fine. But I'm going to have to hold this and then that. But because there's no joint at the hair, I'm afraid if I keep doing that, I'm going to break the hair off. So because of her hair is in that fixed position, there's not too much she can do when rotating. Why Katara looks so mad right now. These figures come with stands, but I think she stands pretty well. She was standing a minute ago, but she doesn't want to stand right now. I'm sure if I fiddle around with it long enough, I will get her to stand, but it's not happening for me right now. She just wants to keep moving backwards. Okay, good. No, she's gonna fall. I can see it. She doesn't want to stand. Alright, so let's look at her water effects. These two things that I assume that goes around her arms. Or you can put in her hands or beside her. They're like a slightly translucent, transparent, but also like with a blue wash water effect. They look like fists or hands. There's like a sculpting around here where I think I'm supposed to attach this to the hands, where the fingers should connect. They should connect to the fingers. So one of those hand accessories is supposed to go with the fingers. And here is her water whip, as he uses in the show. That's a cool detail that they decided to include. And Katara's alternative happy head. Sculpted pretty nicely. Paint apps, pretty well done. And with this face, it doesn't have the blue mark on it, so maybe I can wipe that off somehow. Some warm water or something. And again, same with the other head. This hair is in a fixed position and it will not move. And I think if you move it too much, it will bend right here. It will cause too much stress and it will break. So yeah, that's unfortunate that there isn't a ball peg or something in the hair like they usually do with characters that have ponytails on figures. Or at least maybe make the hair a little bit softer. I mean, a swivel would probably do, but it doesn't have that. I will give them this. These tiny hair strands that she has from her top of the head that connects to the back. Don't move them too much because they could break, but they don't feel flimsy. They feel pretty good on there. So as long as you don't pull it, as in intentionally trying to pull them off to the side and rip them off, they're pretty good to stay on there. But this happy head sculpt looks pretty good. Here is her water sash where she keeps water in case that she needs it to defend herself or to just use for other tasks. The work is simple but nicely done on the pouch. Two fists, two open palm hands, two grippy hands to hold the water whip, and another set of open hands that have her blue fingerless gloves on, which I assume these are the hands that you would use for the water effects. So let's see for a moment. So I was right. These are the hands that use the water effects. Okay, so there's like grooves in here where you can push the fingers inside the water a little bit, where it looks like she's bending the water. And they stay on there pretty good. They're not going to be falling off. They don't feel flimsy. So far, none of her joints feel flimsy. Obviously, they're not loose or anything. But yeah, that's cool. You can pose her shooting out the water at her fingertips. Now let's see if I can get that head off safely to change her facial expression. Actually, you know what? Unfortunately, it looks like that one of the parts, either I didn't notice this or one of the hairs actually did just break on me right here. I put the water hand down right here. Looks like it broke right here. I don't know if it was already like that or it just happened. Strange. Could have already been like that and I just didn't notice it. It's like this one's completely fine. I moved this around. Yeah, mine could have been like that, but this is another reminder to be careful because these parts, these small plastic parts can break. But it's not too bad. It's really not too bad. You can't really notice it that much. Plus, it's still hard enough plastic where it can hold its position. I think it would have been better if they used face plates for this. Trying to get this head off is really difficult. A little too difficult. I don't think I'm going to be able to take this head off on camera. Hold on, wait. Okay, I got it. Okay, so it's just, there's no neck joint indentation in there. It's just a stick with a ball peg. Simple enough. Gets the job done. Alright, I'm going to put this on. Well. Okay, not the way that I want. not the way I wanted it on, but I don't feel like going through that right now. Alright, let's see if I can get this head on here. I may need to heat up the head, because that does not look like it's going to fit on there comfortably. Let's find out. That's ridiculously hard. I'm sure over time it gets easier. Oh. Over time will get easier, but this is super difficult. I can't do it on camera. Okay, the head is not fully on there. I'm gonna have to heat up the head for it to be properly placed on the ball peg. So you see it's still visible back there. That's unfortunate. But I'm gonna have to heat up that head. Let's see if I can get the other head back on here. Okay, is it the ball peg? Or... yeah, that looks like a bigger hole. They could be the same size. That one definitely looks smaller. This has a bigger hole. So I try to put this one back on. This should work. Yeah. So yes, this is much easier to get back on. I'm just gonna have to warm up that head. Let's move on to some of the other accessories. Here we go. You just take one of the grippy hands, take out the other one, just a simple peg, pop the other one out and pop this one in, and you just slide the whip into the groove of the hand. It just goes in there fine. So yeah, not loose, pretty good. I kind of wish that maybe there's like a dark blue maybe going along inside there, maybe. I don't know, is that too much? The translucent is really fine. I don't really have a problem with this. Guess I'm just looking for ways to make it stand out more. But it looks fine for what it is. Water whip. Now let's get on into some articulation. Obviously, as I said before, the head is going to have some hindrance since this hair is in a fixed position. And I do not want to lift this hair too much because by doing so, you're eventually going to break the part that gets stressed right here. So the head can look left and right, a little bit up, and not too much down, just straight across. The arms can move up. They feel like they should be able to go higher. About this much. Yeah, arms can go about that much. And only that far down. Well, I have full rotation on each side. A little swivel inside here, which is good. Double jointed elbows, which will give us the ability to have her put her arms close to her body. Twist at the wrist and bend. Twisting on both sides. Good functionality. Now here is kind of weird. It looks like that there would be a ball peg here, but I think it just looks like that. Because that doesn't move. It doesn't move up and it doesn't move down. Because every time I... Okay, well, actually, we get to actually see how this works. So that's the legs. This is the middle piece, and this is the very simple, basic ball peg. Just sticks in there. Without it, you could probably get a little more bend, but then you have like a whole gap missing. So this piece kind of gets in the way of the movement of this ball peg. How does this even go? Yeah, with all these layers, this kind of hinders that ball peg. So it should be able to go back and forth. It's just that you're just not going to get any type of ab crunch, but she will have a twist all the way around 360. I guess that's good enough, but it could have been more. As for the legs, because of these cuts on the sides, that's not going to hinder too much. Underneath, it's just the basic leg joint. They do have a thigh cut. If I can have you guys see that. There's a thigh cut at the leg where you can twist it around. And it does bend at the knee. But this will hinder the legs going forward a little bit. This is a soft plastic, but it does get harder here. Probably because it's kind of glued, but let's see. Yeah, if you try to go forward, it's going to get hindered. Same thing with the back. You're going to have hindrance going forward and backward. But you do get a double joint knee at the bend. Double joint bend at the knee. But that double joint is only going to get you so far because there's a lot of hindrance that goes on in the back. You can kind of shimmy it off to the side to get through that. That's one way you could do it. Yeah, these front and back flaps are going to get in the way of the leg articulation moving forward and backwards, but not really much to the side. A little bit, not too much to the side. Got more range there. And just have some rotation at the ankles. You can bend down. You bend forward about that much, just straight forward, not really much there. You get more back though. I don't think there's any ankle rocker on this thing. I don't think so. I think it's just a simple twist. So yeah, the articulation is okay. It's not the greatest. There's a lot of hindrance going on the legs. Got a lot of hindrance going on in the torso area. Hindrance at the head because of the hairpiece doesn't have a joint. I have to say, articulation-wise, in the arms don't go up too much. I don't want to break it. Yeah, they only go up about that much. I don't want to break it. Kind of wavering down. So, let's see. Articulation. I'm going to say 6 out of 10. 6 out of 10 for the articulation. Because there are some good parts about it. Obviously in the arms, mostly in the elbows and the wrists and the knees, ankles. You got some good stuff going on there in the sides. But then when you have the basic back and forward and the arms can only go so high in the sides, you can go this way, but not too much out. You do have a twist here. You got some good parts, but then you kind of have some bad parts like with the head and no articulation for the hair, which hinders the head greatly. And also, I'm going to have to heat this head up for it to fit on there properly so I can make that hole bigger with a ball peg. So for articulation, 6 out of 10. A good amount of accessories. So that's a bonus to this, plus these cool water effects. They can either go on the hands or by holding the water whip. It's always fun. She's about to fall. Katara, stand still. My camera does not like Katara because it never wants to focus. There we go. And you do get this water sash here, which is nice. So overall, that's just going to fall off, of course. I feel like I should put this over the arm and neck. So overall with this figure, good amount of accessories, fun, a little bit trouble with the head, articulation, could be better in a lot of areas, good in some areas, worse in others. And $17, this is going to get a 7. Now that we got into water, let's move away from that and start to get a little bit rock solid with Earth, which is Toph, Beifong, my favorite character in the Avatar Last Airbender franchise. She's just a fun blind girl. And hopefully her articulation, and by looking at her accessories, does not disappoint. Just like Katara, Toph comes with various accessories to complete her look with those rock gauntlets, various hand accessories, and the champion belt of earthbending. Yeah, that was the time where she was facing the boulder. And the boulder is very conflicted. He doesn't feel it's right to fight a blind little girl. And then he got over his feelings as soon as she started insulting him. That was a fun time. But yeah, let's open her up and get a hands-on experience. Okay, so I got some good news and not so good news. Good news is I don't need these hands to hold these crunchy granola bar looking rock gauntlets right here. The bad news is I started to move this hand a little bit, and as I tried to move it and bend it, and I realized that right here it started to come off because there is a cut right here where the joint is. If it can show up for me. It's so tiny. Yeah, as soon as I started to move her wrist around like normal, it's like nothing felt stiff or anything, but as soon as I moved it around, it just broke off. And I thought all hope was lost, but I just put it on here. Like it sits in there, like a clamp, even though it should be connected. So I guess I just got the defective model. And all I do is just slowly take this out. Okay. I just grip the peg at the wrist. I can still take it out, which is good. I can still use the other hands. It's just that this hand is kind of defective, which kind of sucks. This was going to be my favorite figure just by Toph being my favorite character. But this hand is kind of defective now. Thankfully, I don't need it too much, but still, that kind of sucks. It also kind of makes me worried for the other hands. Are the other hands going to be like that as well? We will find out eventually. Anyways, another thing I noticed, her ear seems like it's kind of chewed up there. This ear sculpt did not come out right at all. Like, this one came out fine on this side, but this left ear did not. It also seems like, of course, there was some gluing to this headpiece in the hair. And there is that glue mark. There's that obvious glue mark right here, which kind of ruins the look. Far away doesn't ruin it too much, but again, it's still very noticeable. Not too much far away, but it's still there. That's still a problem. But yeah, already between the hair and the arm, we are off to a bad start with my favorite character in Avatar. I also think I'm going to run into another problem with the head sculpt, this being way too small for the peg. But overall, the look of the head looks nice, and the ear is fine on this head, though, on both sides. There's no glue issue on the hair this time. So this head came out decent. Looks nice. Indentation of the teeth and inside the mouth are sculpted nicely. And overall face sculpt for Toph, this still looks pretty good. Like, this one's not like a frown. It's got a little side smirk going on with her face. Besides this part, the rest of the head sculpt looks pretty good. And overall design looks decent. Paint usually in the right areas. And I'm glad that they made sure that she is barefoot because she cannot see. She is blind. And the only way that she can see is by feeling the ground beneath her. The vibrations of the earth. Such a cool concept. Best earthbender in the land. Next to Boomy. If not better. I think we need a confirmation. Who's actually the strongest earthbender? Toph or Boomy? On a side note, I did get Katara's alternate head onto the body where she's smiling. And it does look pretty nice. So that's good. I was able to get this head on. Now on the realm of articulation for Toph, I'm going to go ahead and put another hand inside this area right here. Hopefully this one stays on better. It doesn't break like the last one, hopefully. Alright, so there's some good things here and there's some bad things. This could have been solved with cloth material or very soft plastic, just very soft. It needs to be softer. I don't think I can possibly make this softer. It's already kind of set it where it is. Because there's like double joint hinges for the elbows and knees, but this cut of the shirt is going to hinder that where it's worse than 90 degrees. Even if you try to get at an angle, it's not going to give you that full bend, which is unfortunate. Same with each side. You're just going to get about this much bend. You still have your swivel, but you're getting less bend. And when the box always says that there's 31 points of articulation, yeah, you can have as many points of articulation if you want, but if the sculpt is bad, then that 31 points of articulation turns into 26 or 21 or 14 points of articulation. For the shirt, you can move the arms up, which do look like they're actually horizontally up and they're not wavering down. They both rotate freely. And then just put them down. There is some type of butterfly joint mechanic, and I did notice there is a butterfly joint in Katara, it's just really stiff. There's actually some sort of butterfly joint in there. Very small, though. Nothing too significant. I feel like the butterfly joint would have benefited better with this figure if this part of the outfit was also not a hard plastic. Because this cut right here, I can probably cut this with a knife, an X-Acto knife or something. But this cut right here makes the arm stick out and you cannot push it forward. Because of this cut right here. So if I just trim these down, she can put her arms forward instead of them kind of leading out. Yeah, there are great things with this figure. It's just it's being hindered by silly things like the shirt and the yellow part of this outfit. Could have been better. And I'm sure all the neck joints for these figures from the loyalist subjects. It's just a simple ball peg. She's not really looking up much, just straight. But she can look farther down than Katara, which is complete opposite. Katara can look up, can't look down. Toph can look down, but she can really not look up. Not like she has a reason to, she's blind. But yeah, unlike Katara, you're not going to have any problem with the hair, because there's nothing hindering that. So you're going to get a full 360 without worrying about anything breaking, which is good. Speaking of 360, I'm pretty sure there's a simple ball joint. I am not going to be able to do that. Pretty sure there's a simple ball joint inside the torso that connects to the waist of the legs. But that's really tight. I can get it about that much. Going from side to side. I'm pretty sure if I go any further, it's going to pop off. So I guess it's alright, but again, not doing the best. A little bit of side to side, barely. Just rubbing against that underpiece right there. And she doesn't really have much of an ab crunch. She can lean back with it a little bit. There's a little bit of movement, more than Katara, but not really much to care about. At least this flap feels like a softer plastic than Katara's, or at least that it's shorter, which would be good for her legs because she can pretty much kick forward. And kind of to the back, to the side. Kind of goes out to the side because they're the cut right here. And this flap right here is going to hinder that going straight back. Just the way that her outfit's cut, it's like it looks accurate. It looks accurate to the show. Yeah, but that accuracy to the show also sacrificed some points of articulation and how much range you can move them, which is unfortunate. There is a thigh cut. There's a thigh cut you can swivel up there at the leg on both sides. Another very big problem is this cut right here. Again, we have the shorts. You can only bend the knee that much. It's a double jointed knee. It's just that articulation is hindered by the cut of these shorts. And because it's not a softer plastic or cloth, her articulation is hindered and she is not going to be squatting anytime, sitting, or really anything like that. Unfortunate. Her ankles, though, are going to do the same as Katara's. Going to bend up and down. A little bit of side-to-side action on both sides. And she can move her legs out a bit like this. Only about that much. There's no drop down, so this is how much that she's going to be splitting. It's not to say that you couldn't get her in a dynamic pose if you tried. Like, you still could make it work. If you just try to get her into a pose, something like this. She could do that. But still, the articulation could be better. Better executed for the cuts that they did. Again, softer plastic or cloth. Could have fixed this easily. So articulation, kind of lacking. It's there, just the functionality of it is not going to give you the full range. A little disappointing. But it still looks accurate to the show. Overall, I'm going to have to give this articulation a 4 out of 10. The articulation points are there, it's just that the way certain cuts of plastic were made it's not good enough to justify the points of articulation. There's a lot of hindrance here. For accessories, you have granola rocks. Two open palm hands. One is being in use on top right now. And the other one being in use is this open hand that it's kind of like a sign right on here with his other fingers. Two resting hands. And of course, necessary, two fist hands. Cocky, strong, and she knows it. Facial expression. Full head. Now I believe I can get this belt to wrap around her waist, because there are two holes right there. And on the back, it feels like it. There's two pegs, so I think this thing's soft enough, so this should wrap around her waist easily. Let's try that right now. She's the champion. She's number one. Looks like it's gonna work. It fits. Now will it stay? That's the trick. Will it stay? Let's see. Twist. Yep, it does go around her waist fully and it stays. She can wear the champion belt. Great. Now it's not just a showpiece where she just displays it and has it in her hands while she displays it in the air. This can actually go around her waist, which is very useful. That's a plus, always. And I'm going to use the other part of this hand, and I believe this is the hand that's going to fit inside those rock formations. Put in her hand so she can bend the earth. Okay, here's Toph with the rocks on her fingers, connected by the open hands on the sides here. I wanted to put her in a better pose. I just didn't know what pose that could be that I could get her to stand with at the moment. I'll think of a better one, but yeah. They did slip out the first time, but I just had to push them in a bit more, and they fit pretty good inside the fingers that are holding them. Not too flimsy to fall off, so that's good. So yeah, we got Toph, accurate, we got the belt and accessories, got these rock formations on her hands to attack with. Lastly, stay. Lastly, let's try to get her alternative head on and get this head off and see how well that does. She doesn't want to stand with these rocks on her hands. But she still stands better and longer than Katara. So let's see how hard this is to get off. Guess if they stay on there, I'll keep them on, but let's see how hard it is to get this head off. That's pretty hard. That's a pretty hard head. Oh boy. I may need some WD-40. There we go. I think a lot of time that what makes this harder is that this ball peg is painted on, and that extra layer of paint kind of makes it harder because paint on paint rubbing, and it's so much friction, and it's hard to get off. It looks like we're gonna have the same problem again. Here's this head that was on there, and here's this head. And looking at the holes, that hole looks bigger. This hole looks much smaller. It might look the same on camera, but this hole is bigger. This hole is smaller. So it's going to be a pain in the neck To get that on, I'm probably going to have to heat this head up again, like Katara's. It seems like it's going to be a trend with these Avatar figures, unfortunately. Finally got the alternative top head on the top body. Took a bit of prying, opening up, warming, and it's on there. It should be just as easy to take off later. If not, more warming. Still, this honestly is a better position for the hands anyways. Just having one in her hand. Or if I thought about it, technically since she's usually holding the ground in some way before attacking, that'll be in a better position. But I don't know if I can even do that. I don't know if I'll be able to do that because her articulation is hindered by the cuts of her outfit. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to actually do that accurately, but I'm going to give it a shot. Alright, so right now that's the best I can do. Toph is bending Earth. That's the best pose I can get her in. Excuse me, at the moment. On such short notice. I just had a few rock effects that I already had to begin with the count of the two where she's kind of lifting it up from the ground. I also noticed that Toph is way too tall. Because looking at Katara and looking at Toph, she is way too big. She is big, if not bigger, than Katara. Therefore, she is out of scale. It bothers me a little bit, but not too much. But for scaling accuracy purposes, she is not in scale. It's alright, but yeah, the scaling so far is off for the Avatar figures. But enough about Katara. Enough about Toph. Unfortunately, she's kind of disappointing, but I still like her as a figure, therefore I'm still happy to have Toph. But let's move on to our fire-breathing menace, our Avatar-hating but also obsessive Zuko. On another side note, I'm starting to think these hand gestures are for Toph waving her hands across her face when she reminds Katara, Aang, and Sokka that she's blind, and so she waves her hands across her face like, hey, remember, I'm blind, I can't see anything. That's probably what these hands are for. Well, so far packaging display looks good on Zuko. And get a good look at all of his wonderful clothing details. Also, I don't know what's up with this. I noticed this BTS AXN symbol thing keeps changing color patterns. I don't know if that's supposed to describe the rarity, or is it just random? I don't know what that's about. But yeah, some promising cool stuff in here, and hopefully this is the figure that triumphs both Katara and Toph on looks and articulation, and maybe head sculpt. I'm hoping that the head is not going to be extremely tight. But because this is still loyal subjects, it might still be the case where I need to stretch out and heat up this alternate head as well. Let's find out right now. Oh no. Alright everyone, Zuko is out of the box. Ha! But I am going to have one little issue, just one. Okay, maybe a few issues, but I don't know what they were going for. I know what they were going for here, but humbly abode. It's just this. This thing right here. There are two haircut styles, and I know why they did this. They did this because of two different hairstyles that he had in the time and two different looks. Before he joins Team Avatar and after he joins Team Avatar. But still, this is where they should have been faceplates. You could have switched out the faces, and then you could also swap out the hairstyles. That would have been perfect, but because these are two head sculpts, they're just going to be stuck like that. So if you want a frowning face, you're just going to use this head with this hair. And if you want this hair, then you're going to have to use this head sculpt and with this teeth-gritting face. Unfortunately, that's just how it is going to be. It was a cool concept, but I believe that they should have made this 2 face sculpts and 2 hair sculpts. About the looks! The looks are pretty decent from afar, but getting up closer, I'm noticing some little paint scuffs a little bit right here on the vest. A paint scratch right here, very tiny. Very insignificant, but little paint scratching going on the side there. And little black paint smudge going on this shoulder. Then, another paint, well, not really paint, but this seam line right here. This is due to the pressure of the neck, and pushing it forward is going to bend it further. So, that's a little bit of a crease model molding issue right there. Not really what I had in mind, but okay. Overall detail is pretty good. It's passable. As the lines go down to the elf-like looking shoes. Marvelous! And the paint at the bottom, well, you can just take it or leave it at this point. And we're back to this harder plastic. It's kind of soft, but not as soft as Toph's. I back to this more harder plastic. Maybe I can bend it a few more times. Bending it might do me some good. Definitely back here, very hard. Bending. Whole lot of bending. Overall face detail looks adequate. Not bad. Eyes look straightforward. We don't have a derpy Aaron Yeager situation. Let's see. Same with this alternative head. My next wonder if I'm going to have the same problem with the head sculpt of the ball peg being too big and the hole being too small. You'll soon find out. But first, let's go over those accessories. 2 open palm hands. 2 sword holding hands. 2 fire finger blasting hands. And on Zuko's body, 2 fist hands. And yes, indeed, he comes with a sword scabbard with his little holster that you can put around his back. Marvelous detail. Nothing too complicated. Of course, if they wanted the gold to stand out more, then I guess they could have went with a more metallic look. But that was not the look they were going for now, was it? Which is absolutely fine. But this does come with 2 swords. You can just pull it out like so. It's big enough where they both go inside the scabbard. 2 twin blades. They're also half cut, which is pretty neat. Unique, some might say. Now, I could just get one in there, and one will just fit like this, as it should in a scabbard. Focus. It fits one in there fine, but trying to fit 2 and it's going to get stuck somewhere. So, how do I fix this? Well, unless I want to go inside there and try to open this up a bit, there's not really much I can do. I can just push it in about this much, and that's the best you're going to get for the swords to stay inside that scabbard. Not the best, but it's also not the worst. Okay. So, I take off this head. Do I need to take off the head? I probably need to take off the head. Maybe I put the arm up over the head. Just hang on to it like that. You can just pull it out any time. What a wonderful experience. Now, my absolute favorite thing that comes with this set are these fireballs. These fireballs are useful not only for Zuko, but also for various other things like Dulcim's Yoga Flame or Yoga Fire. That will do most nicely. And there are other things you can use with this. You can use this for Marvel characters, Dragon Ball characters, Key Blast looking things, My Hero Academia. You can use that for Bakugo or Todoroki. Very nice flame effects. All flame effects are usually nice looking. Translucent, orange, yellow, hueing, differentiation, different levels of heat. Makes a stunning remark. I love it. Let's see, you can also use this for Blaze, actually. Blaze the cat from Sonic franchise. These are good for that as well. In fact, I'm going to go try them out right now. Nice flame effects. Perfect for Blaze. You could also do a bit of Jice Crushable! Perhaps a piranha plant shooting a fireball. That would be nice. A little bit of a Mario fireball. Perfect for your Smash Brothers. Good for Charizard. Bowser. But enough about those flame effects. Let's move on to the main figure at hand. Articulation. You're going to be swirling that arm all the way around. You're going to go up. Seems like we got another Katara situation. It's kind of up but wavering down. We have arms that are going to stick out about that high. Seems like there's a lot more side-to-side rocker abdomen movement here. A lot more crunch forward and much more back. More back than what you say with Toph and Katara combined. Curious. Wonder how this would be. Ah, yes, the cut. Although double-jointed elbows and knees, we're still going to have that dreadful hindrance on articulation, which is still going to be worse than 90. Look at him, he's just as angry as I am about it. Yeah. Nevertheless, moving on, there is a swivel. Actually, is there a swivel? Hold on, wait, for the first time. I think there is no swivel at the bend, at the arms. It's good because the sleeves are way too tight on there. There is no way to bend that. No way to bend it at all. Well, at least bend, but not swivel. There is no swivel. And it's super tight. It's like it could be there, but not feeling it. A loss of articulation. It's the cuts of plastic of what kills it. Every single time. How unfortunate. He's gonna be able to kick forward about that much. Ugh, ow. Kick back about this much. From forward. Double jointed knee, which he can get a pretty decent bend on. Regular. Jordan moves up and down for the feet quite nicely. Then, a little bit of a swivel action right there. Alright, that's good. Legs are pretty okay. How he's splitting. Little to no hindrance. Okay, he just slips out. And the leg has slipped off, but that's just a peg. I'll just pop that right back in there. Yep. Snaps right in. So, without popping it, you're going about this wide. Which is okay, as far as these loyal subjects figures goes. Looks like that there are some butterfly joints here. A little bit, not really as influential. There's a little bit going on there. Only a little. But not a lot. So, better abdomen crunch. A little bit better at the knees, but hindrance, a little bit of legs. Not a hindrance in the arms. A few scratches and smudges here and there. He's alright. Head can look down that much. Look up, not really at all. Just pretty straight, basically. 360 head won't be an issue. Let's see, we twist at the wrists, and they can bend up and bend down. Pretty good. Now let's see if I can get this head off and put this alternative head with different hair sculpt on the body. It's going to take a while now, isn't it? See if this is going to be just as hard. That sound is not promising. Not promising. Ooh. Oh, that frightened me for a moment. Alright, that peg hole. Big. Let's see what the other one looks like. This might actually be the one that is not too difficult. Looks slightly different, but also pretty much the same. This might be the one that's easy. Let us see. Again, there's that crack I was talking about. Right there. Could be problematic in the future. But not now. Hopefully. Push that in and... Alright. Oh, and the leg came off again. Oh boy, that's a loose leg. And it pops back in, but still, okay. Perhaps I squeezed it too much. Alright, this is the first Avatar figure that actually isn't too hard to put the alternative head on. Didn't need to heat it up or anything. The first one for everything. Oh, but that is tight. WD-40. We'll fix that. WD-40 will fix that, but... we're doing pretty good. Pretty good. I don't know, there's something about this cut that looks a bit weird in 3D. Doesn't look quite right. I don't know, that hair right there is not quite getting it for me. It's not quite getting it. The look is not quite getting it for accuracy. Even the shoulders should be pointier, not quite there. This should be bigger and more open. Kind of like Toph's, but it's not quite there. Ugh, transition to 2D and 3D is so difficult. Yeah, let me see the other one. Eh. This look is kind of rough. For the articulation, I'm going to have to give Zuko, I would say, a 5 out of 10. Yes, he has more arms to lean forward and to move back with, swirl around, twist. He's not going 360 with that twist, but he's twisting enough, which is fine and everything, but not too much hindrance here, but a lot more hindrance in the back. You run into that hard, soft but still hard plastic in the back, and there's not enough movement going on back there. Not enough, and the arms suck. The arms suck, and they don't even swivel like the rest of the figures, like Katara and Toph. Yeah. And with the combined of overall looks and articulation, 5 out of 10. Let's see what the fire looks like in his hands. Okay, boys and girls. I finally got those fireballs on his hands. It took some finagling, but I finally got it on his hands. They go with the 2-finger press, and you just gotta figure out how to get them inside there. And he holds the fireballs, okay? Pretty basic. It looks nice. Probably looks better at an angle. Get all that fiery detail. If I had an Ace figure from One Piece, I could also use this for Fire Fist Ace. Like I said, a multitude of opportunities for these fireballs. And that's going to be it for this figure. Of course, you have 2 swords. You can put them in his hands. Now for the final figure. That may or may not be better than the rest. We're going to have Aang. Last but certainly not least, we have Aang in his monk outfit. He comes with 2 heads, a couple of accessories and hands, just like everybody else. This staff right here, and looks like 2 wind effects. One is being kind of blocked by this colorful BST sign. So let's get him out of this and open it up and see if he suffers the same issue as every other figure here. And I am sure that the scaling does not match the way it should, because Katara is taller than Aang, but I'm sure they're somehow the same size. If not, he might even be taller. Yeah, let me just open him up. Okay, from a glance, everything looks fine and dandy. All the details look like they are pretty much in order. Aang is on his mad baby face life right now. Not hitting you too much. Just that I noticed a few issues. First, let's start with these tattoos. The tattoo doesn't even continue to the shoulder. And why is there such a twist to it? Why is there such a twist to it? Like, it's just diagonal. Doesn't even match up with the hands or the side. It's like this on both sides. I don't know, it looks weird. I feel like this should go up here, but it just kind of wavers back here. I don't like the look of that. Does not look right at all. I don't know. Am I just dumb, or I just haven't seen Avatar in a long time and it always curved like that? Or that looks wrong to me. I could be wrong, but I think that's wrong. It just doesn't look right. I feel like it should be straight up. And there's also another big issue, and I wish this was a softer plastic or cloth. Something softer, because this is a hard plastic. This is a hard plastic, and what they did is that they just hindered the articulation at the side of the arm again. Right articulation, 31 points of articulation. Using the wrong plastic in the wrong areas and not cutting it properly kills it. But yeah, we got down that much, up, not really much up, just straight. He can't really look back forward a little bit. Well, he can't crunch back much, can't crunch forward much. Barely, no side to side. We got a Katara situation again. And He can twist 360 though at the torso. That's somewhat good. He can bring his arms up to here, but not really straight across because it's just going to be leaning down a little bit. And same with this arm, only a little bit less with this side because this shoulder is getting hindered because of this piece right here, which sucks. That really sucks. In the packaging, it looks softer. You would think that, oh, it's just soft plastic or rubber, even just straight rubber. They would never actually hinder us. Yes, they did. They hindered the side of his arm. It's a stupid decision. It's just dumb. I gotta swivel at the arms, swivel at the wrists, bend. Finally, we can actually use that double elbow joint and bend all the way where he can touch his chest. Bend his hand forward, bend his hand back. That's all fine and dandy. He's one of the few that can actually do this. While looking at this figure, looking all the way around at the details, I also noticed something very crucially wrong. And I don't understand how they messed this up. The back here. You see those legs? You see those legs? You see this area? The cut? Right here. How do you expect to bend the legs? You can't. Yeah, it looks seamless because there's no seam to actually bend the knees. Because you're only going to get this. That's all you're going to get. That is all you're going to get. A waste of a double jointed knee. It's worse than 90. All because that they did not cut into the pants properly here. Which is so weird. Because they did this with Katara. They cut into Katara's. Like, the only reason why that Toph cannot bend her knees all the way is because of her shorts, her attire. Katara can bend her knees all the way. Zuko, as I'm demonstrating over there, can bend his knees all the way over there. That's how he's in that position. They could have did the same thing with Aang right here, but they didn't. You did not allow him to bend his knees so he can bend his legs all the way where he can almost kick his butt. This is terrible planning of articulation. Waste of a double jointed knee. This is terrible. So yeah, he can bring his legs out like this, but then here's another stupid issue. Because this plastic is harder than Katara's and Zuko's and Toph's combined. It's harder than all of their plastics. This plastic is much harder and firm. You're not going to do anything with that leg. You can't do anything with this leg. So it's basically stuck in the stand position. You can't really go forward. Can't really go back. You can't really go out. His left leg is just stuck in the standing position. That sucks. His leg can do almost anything until you go back here and right at the butt. This cut right here without any drop down. The leg only goes out, but you can't go back anywhere. So far, Aang has the worst articulation. I mean, this is just not it, man. I was looking forward to these Avatar figures. Katara is doable, okay. Toph, she's my favorite. I'm a little biased, but still, she's doable. It's okay. Zuko, again, some disappointing articulation, fine. But still doable in a sense. I can still switch the heads. I love all of the effect pieces. The effect pieces are the highlight of all these figures, really. And there's plenty of hand accessories to switch out from. That's fine. But, oh my gosh, the articulation. But Aang was the biggest throwaway that they could have did. This is a do nothing, didn't even try cash grab. That's what it feels like. This feels like a sucker punch to the gut. Good points of articulation, bad planning of articulation when molding the body. No, barely no knees. Guys, he can't even sit down. He can't even sit down. Like, that's barely like sitting. He really can't even sit down properly. He can't crunch properly. The only thing that actually functions normal is the head. Going 360. Now we're looking much else anywhere but just down forward. Like, yeah, he can stand fine. That's the least that they could have done to have the figure stand properly by itself. The tattoos look stupid. The arrow on his head and back are okay. The arrows are okay on his back and head. Arms, no. It's just, I think it's probably the most disappointing figure out of all of these. He's not going to be in much positions. My goodness. I don't know. I know there's like 3 other versions of Aang and the Loyal Subjects line. But I don't know. They may not be worth it. I mean, these were $17, and there are better figures for $17. Yes, you get these hands, accessories, heads, effect pieces. That's fine. It's just, I don't know. For what I want out of it, the articulation is lacking. Terribly lacking. I know I'm going off on a little bit of a rant here, so let me just move on. The articulation for Aang. Articulation for Aang gets a 3. 3 out of 10. 3 out of 10. It's pretty bad for this version of Aang. 3 out of 10 articulation. Yeah, I forgot to go over. You know, same. Goes up and down at the ankles. Swivel. Nothing special. But at least he can stand. Got one version of the Avatar staff. I wonder if I can fit these on here. No, they're not going to go on here. Thought it'd be cool if you do that. No, that these wind effect pieces just go on the one type of the fingers. One of these hands is going to go on these wind effect mini tornadoes. Kind of reminds me of Street Fighter 5, Street Fighter 6 Rashid, where he kicks the ground and just kicks up these tornadoes, and they just go to the side. Screwed a lot of people up in Street Fighter 5 with Rashid and these mini tornadoes. So this reminds me of other things like kind of Mortal Kombat in One Piece. If you put these on his feet, he can be like Skywalker. He can do the Skywalker technique. So these are cool. Effect pieces are cool. As for hand accessories, you're going to get 2 fists, 2 grippy hands for that staff down there. Two open palm hands, and I believe these are going to be the hands that can go inside those wind tunnel effects right here. And instead of 1, you get 2 additional heads. 1 is basic smiling, the baby face that looks like it stares into your soul, and creepy. And the angry teeth gritting face. With the details around the eyes, the arrow, the teeth. Like, the heads look nice. And like with all these figures, like pretty much all these figures, they look nice. Their articulation could just be better. And their scaling could be better. So they all look nice from a distance, and they would all do fine if you just want to pose them in a basic pose on a shelf. If you're an Avatar fan, this is pretty decent. $17. If you can get it on sale, that's even better. If you're an Avatar fan, I think it's worth it if you really love Avatar. Because there isn't that many figures, I say, that are too good with Avatar figures, but there's a couple, but for the amount of accessories and effects and alternate stuff you get with this, it's pretty good if you're an Avatar fan. Let's see if I can at least take this head off reasonably well. And put the other alternative heads on. Hard fit. Oh, that feels stuck. Oh, there we go. Oh, that is not easy. That is not easy to do, at least on camera. Let's see, let's start with the... Yeah, let's start with the smiling face. Actually, let's see those holes for a minute. Well, this hole looks bigger than this one. So I think we're gonna have a same situation sort of thing. Like the rest of the figures, or at least Zuko's head was fine, but after we're talking Katara, we're probably gonna have a head situation. Where it's gonna be super hard to get on here. That thing can barely even grip that giant thick neck of a ball peg. They can barely sit on there. Okay, I'm gonna try to do this off camera. This is hurting my arms. Okay, so I wasn't able to get the smiling face on. It just needs a little bit more prying, a little bit more heating, etc., etc. I can work on that, but you all know it's just extremely difficult to get these heads on in a reasonable amount of time. I'll just sit this back there, but I did move on and get this head on. Because this head explains my frustration with these figures altogether. Yeah, we got that head on. Now I can move on to actually figure out how to put on these wind tunnel looking things. Of course you don't stand now. Aang, stop it. Yeah, that's what the head looks like when he's teeth gritting angry. I'm not that angry, but just I'm pretty ticked that it took me so long. I mean, you probably can't see it. I hurt my fingers for this stuff. Okay. These heads hurt. And also without me breaking them. I don't want to break them too. It's like I gotta be forceful, but not too forceful. Okay, let me just put on the effect pieces and call it a day. Okay, I just realized that the hands that were already on Aang's body, these are the hands that you use to slide in his fingers inside these whole things right here. You just slide them right in there. Most of these just slide right in. Alright, not loose. Looks like he's doing push-ups. So yeah, he's got tornadoes for hands. That would be a pretty sick ability, having tornadoes for hands. I mean, who could stop you? You got tornadoes for hands. That's crazy destructive. Aang is worried about fire being destructive. Yo, wind is just as destructive. And here's all of the main elemental benders of the Avatar series for the loyal subjects. In conclusion, the figure scaling is bad. The articulation, the how many points of articulation is good. The articulation design of the overall molding is pretty bad. Looks are pretty decent for what they are, $17. 17 or less. Pretty decent figures with pretty bad articulation overall. So if you're a super fan of Avatar: The Last Airbender, I would say these would probably be worth it, but only if you want them to be articulated. If you don't want them to be articulated, then there are some other options, or possibly even statues, perhaps. I don't know about that, but there probably are some pretty sick-looking Avatar: Last Airbender statues that I never looked into because I never bothered with statues. So for these figures, with their perks and flaws and all, these very cool effect pieces, I will say that, very cool effect pieces, the highlight of these figures. These alternate heads, these alternate hands, swords, staffs, all that stuff. Champion belt, sashes. Combining all this together, I give a collective group rating for all these figures together, with the price averaging of $17, some 14. A 6.5 out of 10. As a collective body, all these figures, I say a 6.5 out of 10. Because the articulation for most of these figures, especially Aang, is pretty bad. And for the price, where these figures are about $17 on a regular day each, there are other figures that are $17 or $20 that can do better than these figures. I would say their worth amount would actually be $10 and not 17. What would fix a lot of this would be a softer plastic or cloth with a lot of these figures with articulation. I truly think the articulation is what's holding back these figures. A little bit of issues with putting on the head, but that can be fixed with just using some heating up techniques. The effects are great, the hands are great, it's just that with Toph, one of my hands, as I showed you, snapped off. And that means potentially any of these hands could snap off. Any small pieces like Katara's hair. I'm hoping this stuff lasts, but you never know. But 6.5 is my final score for all of these figures. And I could only say if you're a big fan of Avatar: Last Airbender, if you wanted to pose these figures around, I would recommend it. But if you're not a super big fan of Avatar: Last Airbender, and you don't really care for the posing that much, I would say look somewhere else for these figures. Only if you really want it. Not my biggest recommendation. Again, 6.5 out of 10. Well, that will be all for this video. I know it's going to be a long video. I'm going to have a long time editing. So there's probably going to be about 45 minutes to an hour. But I hope you like this review altogether, by reviewing all 4 of these Avatar figures. It was fun for the most part. Thank you all so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And comment which figure out of these 4 is your favorite. And which one, if you were to pick one, which one would you actually pick up? I would consider Zuko, Toph, probably the top 2. Like I said, Katara's good, but her effects, pieces, and stuff, it's just that she can't really do much with her legs, and she has trouble standing. But hey, that's just me. Tell me what you like the best in the comments, right? Great rest of your day, everyone. I'll see you in the next review. Bye, everyone. Take care.